Is Sumati Bele, and I'm going to present the topic of input formats in MapReduce. Hadoop can process many different types of data format, from flat text files to databases. At start, we have input files where the actual data is stored. These input files are divided into blocks or splits by input format and then are distributed across the cluster. Input format specifies how the input file will be divided and thus read by the Hadoop. Initially, data for the MapReduce task is stored in input files, and input files typically resides in HDFS. Although this files format is arbitrary, line-based rock files and arbitrary format can be used. Using input format, we define how these input files are split and read. The input format class is one of the fundamental classes in Hadoop MapReduce framework, which provides the files or other objects that should be used for input and is selected by the input format. Input format defines data splits, which defines both the size of individual map tasks and its potential execution server. Input format defines the record reader, which is responsible for reading actual records from the input files. Each input file is divided into splits, and each map process has a single split from the input file in question. Each split is further subdivided into records of key value pairs, where each of which is processed by a map task one record at a time, as shown in the diagram. It makes use of an input format interface with text input format serving as a default value. A key value pair is created from input split by the record reader and then returned to the construct, which will be shared with the mapper class. So here is the diagrammatical representation of input format. Moving to the next slide. There are various types of input formats, and I will be mentioning them here. Some of them are file input format, text input format, key value text input format, sequence input format, sequence file as text input format, NN line input format, sequence file as a binary input format, and DB input format. So moving to the question part of this presentation, there will be a question like, what is the difference between HDFS block and the input split? So the answer obviously will be that HDFS block splits data into physical divisions, while the input split splits the input files logically. Thank you.